Hey guys, what's up? So in the last video, we got an Apple developer account, and in the previous video, we downloaded Xcode, and that's awesome. They're both really useful. So today, we're gonna actually write some real code and put our keyboard to use. Alright, so let's first open up Xcode. So Xcode. And here you can see a bunch of options that Xcode gives you. So if you haven't developed an Xcode project before, this right panel should be completely empty. But these are just things that I was messing around with, so I have some stuff here. Alright, so in the three options that are shown here, we have get started with the playground, create a new Xcode project, and check out an existing project. So, as you can see here, there are two things that Xcode provides, which are playgrounds and projects. So first of all, Xcode projects are the thing that we're going to be developing real apps on. So once we're finished coding in a project, we can submit it to the App Store and it'd be on the App Store for people to use. However, today we're going to be messing around with a playground. So what is a playground? A playground in Xcode is basically just a place where you can learn the language for coding, and you can just mess around with some code, test some things out, etc. So this is perfect for people who are beginning to learn Xcode and the Swift language, which I'll get to later. So let's first open up a playground. Okay, just name your playground something. I'm going to call it Intro to Swift. And we're going to use the iOS platform. Cool. Just save it somewhere in your folder. I'm going to save it here. Awesome. So, welcome to Playground. As you can see, Xcode provides us with some lines of code, but we don't really need that right now, so I'm just going to delete it all. In order to develop for Apple, there are two languages that you can use, Objective-C and Swift. So Apple developed the Swift language pretty recently, only a few years ago, and it's much better than Objective-C in terms of simplicity and usage. So in all these tutorials, I'm just going to teach you how to use Swift. Alright, so if you've developed stuff before, you know that it's custom for developers to have Hello World as their first program, so we're going to do that in Playground. All you've got to do is type print, parentheses, double quotations, hello world, close quotations, close parentheses, and that's it. Simple as that. So if you've developed in other programs before, this may look really familiar. For example, if you've developed in Python before, this is the exact syntax to print hello world in Python as well. And if you developed in languages such as Java, this may seem like a relief because in Java we have system.out.println, etc. So this is really simple, really cool, really fast. So this is Swift, hello world. And on this right panel, what Playground provides for you is something that's like an output. So what results from this line of code? And what we can see is hello world, new line. So that /n means new line. Great. What new line basically means is that if you, let's say, have another print statement that says next line, if you were to actually put this in a project and run it, what's going to print is going to look kind of like this. Hello world, next line. Basically, after hello world, this /n makes a new line and prints next line on the next line. Alright, so let's just say that you don't want to have a new line. You want two print statements, but you want them on the same line to appear kind of like hello world, next line. Something like that, instead of having a carriage return and have the thing on two lines. So how do you do that? Well, it's really simple. All you've got to do is define a terminator. So basically what a terminator is something, as the name implies, something that is at the end of the print statement. What happens afterwards. So by default, a print statement will have a /n or new line terminator. But let's just say that we don't want a terminator to be a new line. We just want it to be a space. So all we've got to do is write terminator, colon, and space. And voila, that's it. If you look here, the carriage return or the /n disappears and it's replaced with a little space. So that's wonderful. So the next concept that I want to introduce is the let and var concept. So what exactly are let and var? So I'm just going to define something called let number equal to 0, and then I'm also going to have something called var number 2 equals to 0. Okay, cool. What let does is let defines a constant. So constant means that it doesn't change. Essentially that means that once you assign 0 to number will always be 0. You can never change it into anything else. So let's just say that I want to add 1 to number and make number 1. I can say number equals to 1. As you can see here, an error pops up and it says cannot assign to value. Number is a let constant. So since number is a let constant, as you can see here, you can't change it into anything else like 1 or 5 or something like that. Great. Now let's look at number 2. Over here, instead of let, I put var, which stands for variable. So what that means is that after I assign 0 to number 2, I can change number 2 into something else. So let's just say number 2 would equal to 5. Great. Nothing happens, an error doesn't pop up. Now number 2 equals to 5, as you can see from this output. So that's it. Let and var variables. Very simple, very cool. Okay, let's just combine everything that we've learned, some print statements and let and var, and let's just apply it into something else. So let's just say that I define a constant called number of apples, and I'm gonna make it 5. So you have 5 apples, and you want to say print I have something apples, right? You want to say I have 5 apples, but let's just say that in the future a user wants to input how many apples they have, so that instead of 5 it can be any number. So how do you do this? Well, in Swift you can interpolate or plug in a variable within the print statement using a / and 2 parentheses. So now what this is I have number of apples. And if you want to look at the output, this says I have 5 apples. So what this does, as I said before, is it interpolates number of apples into your print statement. So / 2 parentheses with your little constant or variable inside, and that just plug in the value that that variable or constant has. Cool. So that's all you really need to know right now. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about variable types and some other really cool stuff. Great job. You're on a really good start to Swift.